Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So for today, I wanted to go over our new Harley boards. These are made, they're about 50 millimeter wide boards. They're made specifically for the Harleys. Now they're going to fit a lot of different Harleys, so I'm going to have some application links in the description for this video so that you get a little better idea of like what kind of housings you need or things like that. And honestly, I don't even know the full scale of which model Harleys will or will not work. So I'm still working that up. I'm going to try to add it to the website to get a better list of compatibility for this. But I do know on many Harleys from the 70s clear up to today, they use these on the taillights, and these same boards should fit the headlights as well. And as we go forward, I will be getting more and more feedback as to compatibility and things like that to hopefully have a better list. So definitely, depending on when you're watching this video, you're probably going to want to check out our website to get a better compatibility list for what will fit. And there will be a link in the description for this video. Shout out to Angel Meza at Dynamic Auto Works for helping me to kind of get an idea for this process. It was actually his idea initially to try to create something for this, so with some help from him, I went ahead and purchased a set, got the sizing, got everything figured out, and we did get a set made. Yeah, case in point, these are on the website now. So I'm going to go over what exactly is included first. You will get two boards with each kit, and basically left and right side. Now these boards are using our UCS 2904, which is a 17 milliamp per color LED, so they do get pretty bright, and all of our chipsets are on the back side, as well as a plug to connect to our controller. These are coated in an epoxy, so they are waterproof. And the only factor would be the plug itself. By and large, you shouldn't have any issues, but if you are worried about any moisture, things like that, adding a little bit of dielectric grease into this during install would be a good idea. But that is the Halo itself, as you can see. I'm calling it a Halo. It's really just more of a round circuit board, but you will get two of those. Currently, we are using an adapter to connect the controller to the circuit boards, but we're going to try to get these changed over to the same plug, so we should be able to get rid of the adapters at some point. But currently, you do have an adapter, two adapters, one for each of the circuit board Halos. And then you got a controller. Now you have two options on the controller itself. This is the headlight version, and I am currently connected to the taillight version. The key differences are the taillight version has a brake function, and it is a strobe brake function. It has a red DRL instead of the white DRL with the headlight version. It also has the reverse input, whereas the headlight version does not have the brake or the reverse. Both do have sequential turn signals built in, and both do have a startup animation built in. So a little bit more involved with this, so there is a little bit of a higher price point for it, but in any case, you can do heads or tails, whichever you're going with. Now, we will be offering these with no controller as well, if that is something that you want to do. Now, keep in mind, that means that you have to find the right controller that can run the right LEDs. So please keep that in mind. Something like the Blue Ghost, SP105, SP110, it's got to be RGBW compatible and UCS. But if that is something that you want to do to try to save a couple bucks, we certainly understand, and that will be an option. What will be included without the controller is both of your Halo rings, as well as a set of pigtail plugs. No JST connections, anything like that. This is a little bit more of a builder option, I would think. You definitely going to want to know what you're doing, because once again, this is a simple pigtail plug that will plug into the back of the board and you will have 3 bare wires. So if you're using a case of like a Blue Ghost or something, you would probably just extend these, run them to the Blue Ghost, and that would work. If you're using something else like a SP or something like that, probably a similar style. But keep in mind that things like the SP controllers do not have inputs for DRLs, turn signals, brakes, or any of those other signals that you might need. Whereas our controller will, the Blue Ghost will, things like that will. So, but I'm sure we'll have some people that would rather have the Blue Ghost, would rather use that for this. That's not really how we design the kit, but I do want to make it available to you in the event that that is what you want to do. So you would get both boards, once again, waterproofed, everything ready to go, with 2 plugs to be able to connect on the back side. For this particular set that I purchased, it is for taillights on the Harleys, so that is what I've used. As you can see, I already got the one set in here, and I have this turned down a lot, so like the video is totally going to wash out. I'll turn it up just to give you an idea of what you're going to be looking at. So that is turned up. In person, it looks much better than the camera. The camera just can't really capture the brightness of the LEDs, so I do turn it down for that sake. So it's a little easier to see. But you can see it's doing its little animations and different colors and things like that. And you can choose a little color wheel to decide what color you want to run, as well as just your basic show modes. It is Bluetooth controlled for the app. And when you're not showing off normal driving functions, you do have your startup animation, as well as the brakes, and your turn signal, and where is that reverse function? Right there. So you can see you have all the basic functions you need. Once again, if you have the DRL version, you will have white instead of the red for your DRLs, and you'll have no brakes, you'll have the reverse, things like that. But it is basically the same function, you just have a headlight version or a taillight version, depending on which one that you are running. Now, I'm going to cover actual install here now. So this is the original side. Now, one thing you're going to want to consider is the stock on most of the Harleys is a red cover. Red will make all of these LEDs red. So you're going to want to replace your red covers with clear or smoked covers. I do like the smoke cover look because when the LEDs are off, it does hide it pretty well. Versus a clear one, you're going to see the LEDs a lot more, but it does dim them up some. So there's kind of a trade-off as far as what you want to go. There's also like a dark smoke, and then there's like a light smoke. So you know, you can maybe go with the light smoke. It is kind of your preference what you want to go with. You can even keep the red if you want. Just keep in mind you will not get any white, blue, green colors. None of those will show through the red. Everything will be red. Probably going to want to go with clear covers or a smoked cover instead. As far as actual install goes, you're going to remove the cover on the light itself. And now it may vary depending on your model as to how easy it is to remove. I will have a link for this particular bar that was purchased on Amazon, which does actually include the smoked covers as well. So I will include a link for that. You're going to remove your bulb, and it's just a push and twist. The bulb comes right out. And then next up, you're going to have to remove this reflector bowl, and it's just kind of held in there with the gasket. So you just kind of get like a flathead screwdriver and pry it right out. So I got a pick I'm going to use for this one, but really any flathead will work. You just want something small enough that you're going to be able to get in around that gasket and just pry up on this. And once again, I know that Harley has been using these for a long time. The headlights may be a little different than the tails. The actual process of getting these out can vary depending on which housing that you're using. once again, I will have a link for this particular housing that I am using in this video, and it is rather cheap. So if you're a little worried that your process may be a little different on your bike, you can definitely purchase this one that I will have a link for. So once you get that pried out, just like that, on the back side, you're going to see there is some wires that kind of come through a grommet out the back side. You're just going to cut those off. So just like that, cut them right off. And I'm going to pull that right out. Now that's garbage. You're not going to need that, so you can set it aside. Same thing with the cable gland. We're not going to need that. Then you can come on the back side here. You can just pull that wire right out. Now you will still be using your... I believe this is a license plate light here, so you will still have that, so the wires will connect to that, as well as this does house your plug, the main plug for the taillight. So you're going to want to tap into this for the brakes, turn signals, and all that stuff from the actual controller itself. And it may vary a little bit on each car which wire does what, but those are going to be where you're going to want to tap into that. Now that we got that out, your LED board literally is just going to go right in like that. Now, I do recommend using some kind of a glue. I go right back to my favorite glue, the Gorilla Glue contact adhesive. I will have a link for this as well. I'll probably end up just doing an Amazon link to a cart, basically, with everything that I include in everything that you would need to do the stuff in this video. So just click on that and it should direct you to everything that I've got here. But that way it kind of secures it in place, because otherwise it will get a little bit loose in there. So definitely ideal. As for the controller itself, so the controller has two leads coming out. You have the right and left lead. It doesn't really matter which is which. It's just that there are two turn signals, that one goes to one side, one goes to the other, so you will have to figure out which turn signal goes to which side and make sure that they match when you install everything. But in general, this is what you're looking for. So I'm going to move this cable gland up the wire here so that it's a little closer, and I'm going to feed that through this hole on the back side where we pulled out the factory wiring. And then that cable gland will fit right in there, and that just does help keep a little bit of water out of there. Once again, these boards are coated in a waterproof epoxy. The only vulnerable part is the actual pins on the back side where we will be plugging our controller into, and a little bit of dielectric grease. You should never have a problem. So on the back side of that, I will take my adapter and I will plug that controller into the adapter, and then I will plug the adapter into our board. Pull that back a little bit out so that you've got as little wiring in there as you can. It'll make it easier to get this board to sit in there just right. And for uniformity's sake, you're going to want to keep your boards parallel to each other. So it doesn't really matter how you install the boards, but it will look more uniform if they're oriented the same way on both sides. Because you figure it, the way the flow works, it starts at a point and it starts flowing outward. So you're going to want to try to have them somewhat aligned up, however you end up doing it. I find that on these, it seems like they really want to flow where these three pins for our backside connection is facing out, and then it's kind of like an arrow almost that points towards the other light. That doing it that way, it seems like it kind of fits in a little bit naturally with the wiring, so that's the way I'm going to do it. By no means do you have to do it this way. You can just shove it in there any way that you can, glue it in place, and you'll be perfectly fine. But aesthetics-wise, it looks a little bit better. So I am going to secure that with some Gorilla Glue, and I'll take a little bit of a break while that dries, because it does take a couple minutes. And and then we'll come back, put it together, and I'll show you the rest of the wiring. Alright, so I let it sit for like an and a half hour or something like that, just to make sure that it got dried in there pretty good. As you can see, it's not going to fall out. So now we're just going to take our cap and slide it right back on top. Now they just snap right in. They fit pretty good. You can add a little bit more of that glue, that same Gorilla Glue, to the tabs. Probably not a bad idea, because I definitely could see if you hit a bump a little bit or vibrations or things, these probably will try to pop out. So definitely a good idea to go ahead and add a little bit of glue to the inside of that to hold it in place. But as you can see, I got them in there, and by and large, they diffuse the they hide the LEDs quite well. Basic function, as I said, your startup animations, your brakes, turn signals. And they are independent turn signals. There's a wire for each side. I have both wires connected right now. But, you know, hazards would do that as well. And then your reverse, like that. And then for the headlight function, as mentioned, it is without the reverse or the brake, and the DRLs are actually a white color. A little bit more of an intense white color as well. Keep in mind that this is a half bright for your parking lights, running lights, and then your brakes do go full bright. You can see the difference there. So, as you can see the difference between the full brake and the parking lights. So, in addition to that, obviously, the inputs will override your show modes. So, if for some reason you were hoping to run with your show modes going down the road, you can do that, but you would have to make sure that your parking lights are off on the bike. And I don't know the way the bikes are set up. I don't know how simple that will be. If you wanted to, you could include some kind of a switch or something between the DRL wire and the actual bike wiring, which would also do that. But if everything is off, as you can see, we have the show mode going now. And I can turn that up once again, but it does get pretty bright if you turn it all the way up. So, you know, a normal function, I would definitely keep them all the way up, but for the purpose of the camera, so you guys can actually see what's going on, I did turn them back down a little bit in brightness. But many different show modes. This does use an SP105E controller. It's Bluetooth controlled, and you can choose which modes you want to do, any solid colors if you want to do that. But I think it is a very nice little accent piece that should go well on the bikes to still maintain that drivability function that you obviously need, but also have something a little more flashy for when it makes sense to have it. And these kits are available. Once again, you do choose between your headlight versus the taillight option for the controller. And then either way, you will get 2 of the boards and currently 2 of the adapters to make everything plug in together. As you can see, install is quite simple. Beyond that, it would just be tucking the wires back the way that they were, just like so, running them up and through. You can secure that, zip ties or electrical tape, you know, however you want to do that. Run it up through, and then you do have your master plug here on the back at least, where you do have your wiring to tap into your DRLs, your turn signals, and things like that. I do not know offhand which is which. I know the yellows are your turn signals, but you may have to. I will try to get a hold of a wiring diagram. I think Angel's going to help me with a lot of this stuff, but I wanted to get an initial video out for the basic install within the housing itself, as well as the design and what to expect. But definitely look for a future video working with Dynamic to get these on an actual bike, full install with more information coming soon. So, thanks for watching the video. Hopefully this is something that you guys enjoy, something you guys can like. We're always trying to bring new stuff to the market, so you know, different cars and things. If it's something that makes sense, it's something we want to do. So you know, definitely reach out if you have any ideas or anything like that. If it makes sense to do it, keep in mind, you know, quite a bit of money invested to develop things like this, so it does have to make sense. But if it does make sense, we'll definitely do it. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, anything you can do to help the YouTube algorithms so people can see this. Comment, you know, what you think of them. And definitely check out our website, nextlevelneo.com. We have a lot of things for a lot of cars, and we're always expanding. So it definitely worth checking out. Thanks for watching.